Hey, CEO, welcome back to the Redeem Her Time podcast. We're at the time of year when the shine has worn off those New Year's goals. And at the same time, a whole lot of new shiny objects are rolling in. Hello, Q4, and hello, holidays. So let me ask, what kind of results are you reaping right now? Like we talked about in episode 354, your roadie, return on time invested, always reflects the seeds you've sown. If you've been consistent and intentional with your time, you're likely seeing growth. You're building your list, you're signing more clients, you're creating lasting impact. But if you've been kicking the can down the road, aka procrastinating, your results may be less than you like. And just so you know, you're not alone because this episode was inspired by conversations I've had with several business owners recently. And no worries, there's no shame, blame, or shoulda, woulda, couldas around here because that time is already past. But here's the thing right now, before Q4 officially starts, you have a choice. Do you remember the tale of the two business owners we talked about back in episode 352? The business owner procrastinates, but the CEO, who understands she's a steward, gets focused. The question is, how are you going to end 2025? The same or 10 times stronger? Do you want to push that project, program, or plan off to the new year because, well, life is busy and then just get the same results as you always have? Or are you ready to roll up your sleeves, get focused, and step into what God is calling you to build this year? Well, I've got a little tough love coming at you straight today from Scripture, plus exactly what to do to fix the five top procrastination triggers. But before we dive into that, I want to invite you to my free masterclass happening tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, September 30th, that I have a feeling you don't want to miss. It's called 10x your productivity and 2x or more your profits in 90 days. Even if you've got a small audience, no team, and limited time, you're going to see how this is possible. And I'm going to share more about my story of how I literally 8x my profits in less than 90 days and how you can too. We're going to talk about how to actually and supernaturally 10x your roadie using my roadie method. So that way you can make more, work less, and build that kingdom momentum heading into the new year. So don't wait. Make sure you go register right now at redeemhertime.com/10x or click the link in the show notes. No worries. If you miss it live, I'll send you the replay and a resource to help you kick procrastination to the curb for good. All right, speaking of procrastination, let's dig into what procrastination is and why it keeps showing up. I like to start with a good definition, so here's what I found. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing something. And here's what's interesting. We delay or postpone that thing even though we know there will be negative consequences. Why? Because it's about avoiding the uncomfortable emotions that are attached to a task. Yes, it feels like short-term relief, but guess what? It leads to guilt, stress, and stuck results, all of which nobody wants. Back in college, maybe you did this too. You knew that paper or project was due for weeks, but somehow it didn't actually get written until when? The night before. Cue the late night cram session, coffee in hand, messy bun, sliding into the professor's desk just in time. Ask me how I know, because yep, I did that once and I never did it again. Fast forward to today. You're not writing papers anymore, but the cycle hasn't changed all that much. Now it looks like avoiding the business project that feels overwhelming, putting off the hard conversation with a client or team member, letting the laundry pile up until you're out of socks or underwear, or delaying your wellness goals because, well, you'll start fresh on Monday or January 1st. And here's the kicker. You procrastinate even though you know there will be negative consequences. Why? Because procrastination isn't really about not having time. It's about avoiding the uncomfortable emotions that are tied to that thing. The fear, the doubt, the overwhelm, even the boredom. In the moment, putting it off feels good, but it almost always leads to what you don't want. Different season, same story, just with higher stakes. Do you see it? Now, before we go any further, let me just make this one very important disclaimer. Delay is not the same as procrastinate. You see, in my 4D decision matrix, I help you know when it's time to delay something. But that delay is about intentionally assigning something to a future date because why? It's not the priority now. That's way different from procrastination, which is avoiding what you know you're supposed to be doing right now. And here's the sobering truth. Procrastination isn't just a bad habit. It can actually be disobedience. I used to tell my kids all the time, delayed obedience is disobedience. And the same applies to us. If God has entrusted us with time and a business, with relationships, and we say, not now, Lord, maybe later, Are we really stewarding what he gave us? Or are we acting like the owner who gets to decide when and how to use it? James 4:17 puts it plainly. Whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. Gulp. That hits hard, right? Because procrastination often isn't about choosing the wrong thing. It's about avoiding the right thing. Now, you know me, I don't like to pull a verse out of context. So if you pull back and you look, the entire book of James is all about seeking wisdom from God for how to live in the here and now. And he promises to give wisdom generously when we ask. But then comes the real question. When he gives it, are we going to be hearers of the word or just merely doers of it? Think about it. You know God's nudging you to finally map out that program that's been on your heart, but you keep waiting until you, quote, have more time. You know your body needs more rest, movement, or margin, but you keep pushing it off for when? Someday. You know he's asking you to invest in your marriage, your kids, or even that neighbor who needs encouragement, but you tell yourself, I'll get to it after this season slows down. But James reminds us wisdom isn't for later, it's for right now. And if we only nod in agreement, but then never follow through in action, girl, we are deceiving ourselves. Do you remember the parable of the talents in Matthew 25? The servant who buried his one talent wasn't called busy or too tired. He was called wicked and lazy. Why? Because he failed to invest what his master entrusted to him. Procrastination looks a lot like that, hiding away the assignment that God gave us and hoping that he's not going to notice. But when we choose to act in obedience now, even in small, imperfect steps, we plant seeds of faithfulness that God multiplies. That's what true stewardship looks like. Not someday, but today, right now, in Q4. So the question is, why do we procrastinate? Why do we keep putting things off? Well, let's break down the top 5 procrastination triggers, and I want you to see how each one really comes back to stewardship. The first trigger for procrastination is lack of clarity. You don't know the next step, so you stall. Maybe it's that signature program you've been dreaming about, but you don't know how to start. Or a client offer that feels too big to structure. James 1 promises wisdom when we ask. And stewardship here means trusting God for the next step, not the whole staircase. Even writing just one page of your course outline or sending the first soft pitch email counts as planting a seed faithfully. Number 2, overwhelm. Yes, that project feels too big. Maybe it's the marketing relaunch you've been avoiding because it's, quote, too much, or organizing your finances for the year feel like climbing a mountain. God doesn't ask you to finish the harvest today. He asks you to plant the next seed. So break it down to small wins, one social media post, one client call, one spreadsheet at a time. That, my friend, is faithful stewardship. How about this procrastination trigger? Distractions, laundry, notifications, drop-offs, commitments, aging parents needing help. Girl, life is full. And all those urgent tasks can easily steal your focus from the things that really matter and the things you're called to. The enemy would love to keep you busy, so you never plant the seeds that God put in your heart. But stewardship means guarding your focus. Maybe it's batching your emails, or blocking time for that signature offer, or saying no to something that isn't a current priority. Number 4, perfectionism. You hold back because you're afraid it won't be good enough. Maybe you're delaying launching a course because the branding isn't perfect, or rewriting your website copy for the 10th time. Friend, God multiplies imperfect seeds, and your obedience is what counts. So launch, even if it's not perfect, because he can take what's faithful and grow it exponentially. And the 5th trigger for procrastination is low energy or motivation. Life, menopause, burnout, or stress, yes, can leave your tank empty. Maybe you've been running on adrenaline to keep up with business and family, or skipping meals and sleep to get it all done. But stewardship of your body and soul actually matters. When you refill yourself spiritually, emotionally, physically, God can pour out through you again. That might look like your morning refill time with prayer and scripture, a short walk to reset your brain in the middle of the day, or a weekly quiet hour to plan your next steps. So, you might be wondering, Lissa, how do you actually fix procrastination and step into next level growth? Well, let me illustrate by telling you what happened when I 8x'd my profits in just 90 days. It was literally at the end of September, the exact same time of year that you are listening to this. Up to that point in the year, I'd made about, 5K. Sounds okay, right? But compared to previous years, it was inconsistent at best, and it wasn't where I wanted to stay. I knew my offer was solid, but it needed some up-leveling to really serve the women that I felt called to reach. But I kept getting stuck in the daily weeds. So here's what I did. With the help of a coach, I got crystal clear on what my offer needed to launch. I set a launch date 60 days out. I mapped out a step-by-step plan to get everything done, and I committed to weekly accountability to follow it and adapt as needed. And guess what? When I finally launched the program with a workshop 60 days later, I brought in over 40K. Yes, that's 8x more than I had made in the first 3 quarters combined. So, why do I tell you all this? Because I could have easily kicked it to the new year. I could have gotten stuck swirling indecision, trapped in overwhelm with all the moving parts, distracted by emails, notifications, and the newsfeed, tweaking endlessly for perfect or waiting until I felt like it. But I didn't. Here's what I did instead. I got laser focused on my one thing, up leveling and launching my signature program. I mapped out a 12-week growth plan with milestones, targets, and timelines. I blocked focused CEO time in my week and stayed accountable through coaching. I asked, what does she need right now? And what will it cost her if I wait for perfect? That question pushed me into action. And then I started every day with my CEO meeting with God. That reminder that He had entrusted this to me kept me fired up to keep going. And here's the kicker. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't work more hours. In fact, I worked less because I knew exactly where to focus and every action I took mattered. Girl, that is the power of stewarding your time, your energy, and your calling. Because when you act with clarity, faith, and focus, procrastination stops controlling or delaying your results. And then God multiplies what you faithfully plant. So, how can you fix your procrastination triggers? Well, if yours is lack of clarity, get crystal clear on your next step, not the whole staircase. Ask God for wisdom, hello James 1, and break your big project into actionable chunks. Every single step. Writing a page, sending one email, outlining one module is enough to get momentum moving. If it's overwhelm, stop trying to do it all at once or hold it all in your head. God didn't ask you to finish the whole project today. Just plant the next seed faithfully. Map out a 12-week growth plan with those milestones, targets, and manageable action steps because small, consistent progress is going to beat spinning your wheels or kicking the can down the road. Or how about distractions? Here's the truth. Life is full. There will be laundry, notifications, family needs, and church commitments. And the enemy would love to fill your calendar with busy so that you never focus on what matters most. So steward your attention, batch your tasks, block your focused CEO time, and protect your top priorities from interruptions. If it's perfectionism, stop waiting till it's perfect. Girl, your obedience counts more than polished. Launch that course, send that email, post that content, even if it's not flawless. God multiplies faithful, imperfect seeds. Ask yourself, what will it cost my clients if I wait until it's perfect? And then let that fuel your action. And if you're struggling with motivation or low energy as your reason for procrastinating, well, when life, menopause, burnout, or stress drain you, your best work is going to suffer. So steward your body and your soul first. Refill spiritually, physically, and emotionally with that morning walk, morning prayer, journaling, rest, and then pour out from that overflow and then refill before you go to bed at night. Because when you partner with God's strength instead of trying to do it all on your own, girl, you're going to see way more results. And here's my bonus tip. Get coaching and accountability. Friend, when you apply these fixes, getting clear on your next step, breaking overwhelm into manageable action, protecting your focus from distractions, letting go of perfectionism, and refilling your energy, plus layering on coaching and support, you're not just checking tasks off a list. You're stepping fully into your role as a steward of the time, talents, and opportunities that God has entrusted to you. This means that you will 10x your productivity because every action you take is intentional and aligned with His calling. And it means you'll 2x or more your profits because you're no longer letting procrastination steal your results or delay your impact. And more importantly, it means you're walking in obedience, faithful to what God has placed in your hands today, trusting Him to multiply it for tomorrow. This is how you move from spinning your wheels in Q4 to seeing real growth in your business, your family, and your life. It's how you stop kicking the can down the road and start planting seeds right now that bear fruit before the year ends. Now the question is, will you let procrastination continue to hold you back, or will you take the next step in faithful action? Here's my challenge to you. Don't wait for the new year. Start now. Decide to step up as a steward of your time and business and take action on what God has placed in your hands. Girl, this is how we are going to 10x productivity and 2x profits before year's end, not later. But left to ourselves, we'll keep kicking the can down the road or get distracted by those shiny objects. That's why I'm inviting you again to join me tomorrow, September 30th, for the 10 extra productivity and 2 extra profits in 90 days masterclass. You can register at redeemhertime.com/10x or click the link in the show notes. And if you're hearing this after the fact, no worries. Just DM me the word 10x or hop into CEO Focus, where women just like you are kicking procrastination to the curb and finally seeing results like these. Lissa, this is helping me get clarity and take needle moving steps. Lissa, this is keeping me focused on where I need to be and helping my brain focus on what it's time for to grow. Lissa, this is giving me a clear plan to beat the overwhelm and see measurable progress towards my 12-week goal. Lissa, this is helping me feel more focused and productive in every area. Lissa, this is what's helped me make more progress in the last week and a half than in the last 6 months. So, whether you've been putting things off all year or you're just ready to up-level your results in Q4, this is your moment. Don't wait. Step up as a steward that God has called you to be. Let's 10x your productivity, multiply your profits, and most of all, expand your kingdom impact. Are you with me? Good. If you want to jump into CEO Focus, just head to redeemhertime.com/focus-info or, click the link in the show notes. Okay, friend, I'll see you over inside the Redeem Her Time community. We'll talk more about this. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Until next time, remember, instead of chasing time on the clock, trying to control it, receive the gift of time from the one who truly holds it. Because as his daughter, you have time.